Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Rookie Card Collector 123 video. In today's video, we're going to continue our look at Negro League baseball memorabilia, photos, postcards, scorecards, programs, yearbooks, anything with picturing Negro League ball players on it. We've been working backwards from the mid 1950s back towards the turn of the century. Today, we're going to look at some items from 1945, which was an important era in Negro League Baseball for a few different reasons. So the first item we're going to look at today is it's a team premium from 1945. See if I can get it to focus a little better there. It's a Casa Vassallo team premium. This one pictures the 1945 Cienfuegos Cuban Winter League Ball Club. It's in full color, and the highlight of this one is going to be Martin Dihigo. Let's see if we can spot him. He's pictured right here, just about in the center of the photo. The clarity is probably not going to be good enough to recognize faces in the picture here, but the original actual premium images are very clear. There's also, in addition to Dihigo, there's several other Negro League stars and Cuban baseball stars on the Cienfuegos club as well. I'm going to read those off. So that would be Alejandro Crespo, Silvio Garcia, Adolfo Luca, and Luis Tiant Sr. So a really neat full color premium from 1945, picturing the Cuban League Cienfuegos ball club with Martin Dihigo. Okay, above that we have a 1945. Again, this is another Cuban Winter League item. This is a postcard. This one pictures the Almendares Ball Club, which is one of the four Cuban Winter League teams from that era, in addition to Cienfuegos. This one is as I said, a postcard. Calcientes and Escarpines Casino were the sponsors that covered the cost for this postcard to be distributed. Both of these pieces probably would have been distributed at the Cuban League ballparks during the 1945 Winter League season. And the stars for the Almendares team were Ramon Vergana, Lloyd Davenport, and Bartolo Portuando. So really cool. This does not look like a real photo postcard. It looks like a commercially printed one. So there was probably a number of these printed. All the items we look at in this book oftentimes are one of a kind. Sometimes there might be a couple or a few. I would say the same probably holds true here. These are probably in the few category. I don't think these are unique. I think there's probably a few out there. Okay, next one we're going to look at is a 1945 Santurce, which is Puerto Rico Winter League photo. And Santurce here includes two ball players pictured, both prominent Negro League players. One of them is a prominent Major League Baseball player and a MLB Hall of Famer, Roy Campanella, which is pictured. He's pictured right there. The other player pictured is Terrace McDuffie. And McDuffie was a top Negro League, Winter League Latin American pitcher during the 1940s. So most likely these two were pictured together as a battery, where Campanella was the catcher and McDuffie was the pitcher. So two Santurce players, 1945 Winter League, including Roy Campanella. Really nice Type 1 photo there. Okay, next one up we're going to look at is, this one is looks like he's in the on-deck circle, practicing his swing. This is Jackie Robinson. And this one is sort of it's a type 1 photo, but it's sort of a die cut that might be mounted on just a plain white background, it looks like, based on the way the bottom half of the image looks here. So this is Jackie in his single Negro League season, 1945, playing for the Kansas City Monarchs. Any Type 1 Jackie Robinson photograph is extremely rare and in today's market, extremely valuable. So he's standing in looks like again on the on deck circle, getting ready to bat and practicing his swing in front of the grandstands with the crowd behind him. And appears to be some sort of a die cut that was probably the photo cut out to fit the size of a magazine or a newspaper column where they were looking to print the photograph. So Type 1, 1945, Kansas City Monarchs, Jackie Robinson. Okay, next one we're going to look at is, if we can get the camera to focus a little better. 1945, this is a Puerto Rican Deportivo. This was a Winter League magazine. This would have been probably sold at the ballpark or possibly in newsstand or magazine shop in Puerto Rico. This would have been printed all in Spanish. And this one has an amazing cover. Pictures Satchel Paige in his Kansas City Monarchs jersey and Josh Gibson in his Homestead Grays jersey. And if there was one rivalry bigger than any other in Negro League Baseball history, it was Satchel Paige pitching to Josh Gibson. So 1945 Puerto Rico Deportivo magazine with Paige and Gibson on the cover. Never seen this actual item, but I got to imagine in today's world, if one came up for sale or auction, it would definitely sell for a lot of money. Okay, now we're going to move back to 1944, the previous season. So here we have a 1944 Puerto Rican Winter League All-Star team. This one would be a black and white Type 1 photograph. Everybody's posed on the field in front of these grandstand with lots of fans in attendance there. And this would have been from the Puerto Rican Winter League, 1944-45, like I said. There's a whole bunch of prominent Negro Leaguers pictured in this one. I'm just going to read the names off. I don't think the image is clear enough in the book to identify the players, but the original Type 1 would be. So we have Sam Bankhead, Pee Wee Butts, Roy Campanella, Hall of Famer, Lloyd Davenport, Sam Jethro, another future major leaguer, John Markham, Terrace McDuffie, Roy Partlow, George Scales, and Titila Vargas. So just about everybody pictured in the photo I just named. So a really fantastic team image Type 1 photo. 1944 Puerto Rican Winter League, including Roy Campanella. Okay, next one we have here is 1944 Kansas City Monarchs. And this has two ball players pictured. One is in his military outfit as he was serving in military service in 1944, as opposed to playing his normal major league for his major league ball club. So this is Satchel Paige again, Kansas City Monarchs, and this is Bob Feller in his U.S. Military clothing. And they were well known to have played against each other and put together barnstorming tours when Feller was back in the U.S. by 1946. Paige put together a Negro League All-Star team. Feller put together a Major League All-Star team. And they played some exhibition games against each other during that 1946 season. So this is a couple of years before that. Possibly the first time that Feller and Paige met. So, a really cool image there. Okay, next up we have a 1944. This is the Negro League Baseball yearbook. So similar to Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball, the individual ball clubs, Negro League Baseball put out an annual yearbook. They did that in 44, 45, and 46 that I know of. Possibly other years as well, but those are the ones I've seen. So this is the 1944. This might be the first one that they produced. And this one's going to picture Spoon Carter, who was a Homestead Grays star on the cover there. And it appears that there's a U.S. military baseball player in the background. I guess trying to show how Negro League Baseball supported the U.S. in the war effort during World War II. The back cover, which is pictured here, um, the contrast isn't the greatest, but this is Raymond Brown. Raymond Brown is a Hall of Fame pitcher, also for the Homestead Grays during the 40s, and was part of the Homestead Grays club that won 9 consecutive Negro League pennants from 1937 to 1946. The team also included Josh Gibson and Buck Leonard, as well as Raymond Brown, all Hall of Famers. So 1944 Negro League Baseball yearbook. These yearbooks had about 64 pages or something like that in there. There was lots of pictures of various Negro League stars. There was stats from previous years. There was team stats. Really cool if you have the actual yearbook to go through it and see all the information and all the pictures in there. Really great item. I once owned the 1946 Negro League yearbook, which had Jackie Robinson on the cover from his 1945 Kansas City Monarchs season. And here we've got a 1944 Negro League All-Star team. Everybody's pictured in a single file line there in front of the grandstands. And again, this is a type 1 photo. At the very bottom, it's got notated there, Negro National League, 1944, St. Louis, West All-Star Team, Chicago, Illinois. So, as you can imagine, there's a bunch of prominent Negro Leaguers in the All-Star team photo here. I'm going to read off the names I have. So it's Lefty Mathis, Satchel Paige, Alex Radcliffe, Ted, Double Duty Radcliffe, Neil Robinson, and Artie Wilson. So, of course, the biggest name on here was Satchel Paige. And this is Satchel Paige right here. Probably can't see that well, but he's the tallest guy. He's in his Kansas City Monarchs jersey. So 1944 Negro League. This is the Western All-Star team. They always played East against West in the Negro League All-Star games, similar to how Major League Baseball did the National League versus the American League. So 1944 All-Star team with Satchel Paige. Okay. Continuing on with some more 1944 items. This photo here, the image in the book is pretty light, so it's going to be hard to identify, but this is 2 teammates for the 1944 Homestead Grays. And the player here on the right is Judd Wilson. Judd Wilson was a great second baseman primarily in the Negro Leagues, played some other infield positions as well. And is in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He was one of the guys elected in 2006 when the whole big group of Negro Leaguers were selected into Cooperstown. So a 1944 pair of Homestead Grays teammates. I haven't identified the other player, but the one on the right, like I said, is Judd Wilson. Next to that, we have a 1944 Indianapolis Clowns program. So this would have been something sold at the Indianapolis ballpark, and you could buy one of these programs. You can score the game with it. And you've also got a lot of team player images on the front cover. Typically, these also had some images, team images of the players, as well as biographical information on the inside. And sometimes you also had info on the opposing ball club as well that they would be playing against. So 44 Indianapolis Clowns. The key players in that team were Sam Hairston, Buster Haywood, and Alex Radcliffe. So those are three of the key players on that team. Well, probably all three are pictured on the cover. Some of them are pretty small. It would be hard to identify without having the actual item in hand. So 1944 Indianapolis Clowns Negro League Baseball program with a really neat front cover. Okay, above that we have a 1944 Homestead Grays team photograph. Like I mentioned before, the Grays won 9 consecutive Negro National League pennants from 37 to 46. So this 44 club would have been one of those teams. And I'm going to read off all the names on there. Again, this is another photo where just about every single player is identified, which means that this ball club was loaded with stars. So we've got Sam Bankhead, Cool Papa Bell, Hall of Famer, Jerry Benjamin, Raymond Brown, Hall of Famer, Spoon Carter, Rab Roy Gaston, Vic Harris, future Hall of Famer probably, Dave Hoskins, Jelly Jackson, Buck Leonard, Hall of Famer, Candy Jim Taylor, Edsel Walker, David Watley, and Judd Wilson, another Hall of Famer. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4 Hall of Famers, one future Hall of Famer, Vic Harris likely. And Josh Gibson had some medical issues in 1944. He only played some of the season, and he was not present for the team photo. So Gibson is not on this one. Okay. Next item, also again from 1944, we've got the Birmingham Black Barons, Negro League team. This is the Negro American League. The Grays were in the Negro National League. And the champions from each of the two leagues would play each other at the end of the season in the Negro League World Series, kind of similar to Major League Baseball did with the American League winner and the National League pennant winner. So here are the Birmingham Black Barons. Again, we've got a whole bunch of players named on there, which means it's got to be a great ball club with a lot of star players. So I'm going to read off all the names on this one. So we got Lloyd Bassett, John Britton, Piper Davis, Bubber Gibson, John Huber, Lester Lockett, Felix McLaurin, Leroy Morney, Jimmy Newberry, Ted Radcliffe, Tommy Sampson, Ed Steele, Winfield Welts, and Artie Wilson. So, real nice Type 1 team image in 1944 Birmingham Black Barons. And over here we have a huge piece. And this one is a 1944. It's a full body pose of Josh Gibson with his catcher's mitt and this Homestead Grays uniform. And as a Type 1 photo today, this sort of item would probably bring well up into 5 figures. Super valuable and a fantastic full-length pose of Gibson with the Homestead Grays, also 1944 still. And the last one we're going to look at today is our first 1943 item. So we're going to finish up with this 43, and then next episode we will continue with probably a whole bunch of 1943 images. This one is Ray Dandridge. Dandridge is pictured in his Vera Cruz uniform. And this was a Latin American winter ball real photo postcard. And I'm not sure if the signature at the bottom is actually autographed by Ray, or if that's just a facsimile that was made on the postcard. I've never actually seen this item before, the actual item. So, Ray Dandridge, Veracruz, 1943 Winter League postcard. Dandridge is also in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So that's going to wrap up today's episode on Negro League memorabilia. We covered 1944, a couple of items from 45, and then the last item was from 1943. So next time we'll start off with some more 1943. Really unique and unique Negro League memorabilia items. So I hope you enjoyed today.